Miss Segovia, and I'm going to do the notes with you on plant responses and growth. So this is going to go opposite your little foldable on tropisms, and if you haven't done this one already, it's kind of neat. You're going to actually do like a double layer thing. And so tropisms, if you didn't get that definition earlier, are a plant's growth response towards or away from a stimulus. A positive tropism if the plant grows towards a stimulus, and a negative if the plant grows away from the stimulus. So if you want to pause that and copy it down, there you go. Under each one of these, you've got you start out with a description. Your job is to match the photo and type of tropism to the description. So for this first one, it says this action is one reason these flowers are called sunflowers. Well, they're following the sun, which is light. So the tropism is phototropism, and that is growing towards the light. And so you'll want to find the picture that is showing the plant growing towards the window. And so you'll do that for each of these, and it's pretty quick and simple. So if you're not sure what the tropisms are, it's like that weird one called thigmotropism, that is what we're going to do in our notes. So to start off your notes, you have our title, which is Plant Responses and Growth. So as always, being our good Cornell noters, go ahead and draw your perfectly straight Cornell line and then your line across the bottom for your summary. So let's start out with the grand topic, which is tropism. And if you have a highlighter handy, that's one of our big vocab words, I would go ahead and highlight it. So a tropism. Tropism is a plant's response toward or away from a stimulus. And so, as mentioned earlier, that towards or away, if it's towards, it's positive. If it's away, it's negative. And that little tidbit you have in your center square over here. So, our tropisms that we focus on this year, the first one, and we've already talked about this a second ago, is phototropism. That's growth toward light. And if you've ever left a plant kind of sitting a little bit away from a window, you start to notice it's growing pointing that way. Another one is gravitropism. And so this is growth in response to gravity. So up versus down. And so what we tend to see is roots grow towards gravity, or the gravity's pull. Shouldn't be an apostrophe, sorry English teachers. Roots grow towards gravity, and so that's positive. Shoots grow away from gravity. And so that's actually considered a negative tropism. So if you ever, like I said, or it's kind of cool, there's a whole forest where trees actually kind of fell down, and over time the stems grew up. So the little trees, they actually come out of the ground, lean over, and then grow up this way. And then that's where the big part of the tree is. And I'll find that picture for you. Remind me, it's really cool. Or go Google like trees that fell over and grew up, and you might see that come up there. Another one that's really kind of freaky is thigmotropism. And this is plant response to touch. And so examples of this one, for example, vines curl around objects. When they actually touch the object, they start to spiral around it. And Venus flytraps close when touched. So when a fly lands in there, the little mouth goes and closes in around it. There's lots of other ones. There's a sensitive plant that the leaves actually curl up if you touch them. A lot of cool things. Just, again, go YouTube thigmotropism and you'll see some neat stuff. The last tropism we're going to hit on here is hydrotropism. And that's growth towards water. And so when a plant senses that there's water in the area, you tend to see the roots growing in that direction. So our tropisms are all super important, so go ahead and highlight them. If you've got a multicolor highlighter or different color pens or anything, you know, go crazy. I've got yellow, and that's what I'm going to use. And the reason that all of these happen is actually because of hormones. So I know we always think of people having hormones, but plants grow because of hormones. So all these happen because of plant hormones. And so lots of neat hormones out there. I wish at this level of biology we dealt a lot more with those because there's some really neat things, but it's about as deep as we go. So just a couple other cool things here too that we're going to include. One is photoperiodism. And that's a plant's response to seasonal changes. And not so much in temperature, but in the length of night and day. Which is actually why plants can get really messed up. If we have like a cold snap, but all this time it's been like long days, they think, you know, spring's coming and then brrr, it goes cold. But when we start having like the flowers blooming or the buds coming out on trees, it's usually in response to the amount of light. When they don't have light, they go into dormancy. So this is a period when in organisms, because it's more than just plant actually, growth or activity stops. Sorry about that. But they're still alive. So like trees, they look totally dead in the winter, like nothing's happening. But in fact, they're still alive. They've just kind of slowed their cellular activity, and they're just hanging out until the weather warms up, and that photoperiodism starts to tell them, hey, spring's coming, time to grow. And then we got last little bit here I want to include, which deals with the photoperiodism and the dormancy, are if you've ever gone to a floral shop and you see like annuals, biennials, and perennials. What are they talking about, especially annual versus perennial? It has to do with the flowering life cycle. So our flowering plants, which are our angiosperms, and just so you don't freak out, remember that's flowering plants. They're classified based on the length of their life cycle. So again, when you go shopping for flowers this spring, you'll see a category that's known as the annuals. And these have a life cycle within one growing season. So they'll just bloom for 1 year. So those plants, if you want to do like a big investment, annuals are probably not the way to go because you'll get them once. And so you have marigolds, petunias, even some of your vegetables like cucumbers. They're only going to grow one season. Now you can collect the seeds and grow again, but if you leave that plant in the ground, don't expect anything to happen in the spring. The second one are the biennials. And these complete their life cycle in, guess how many? Bi means 2. So in 2 years. So you can plant them one season, they'll come back another, and then they're done. And so examples of that are like celery and parsley. So if you plant those, you get 2 years out of them, and then boom, that's it. Save those seeds, plant them again, get another 2 years. But if you're gonna like throw some money into plants, put it into perennials. P-E-R-E-N-N-I-A-L-S, perennials. So it sounds like annual, but it's per annual, and so perennials. So these are plants that live for more than 2 years. And so examples here are like peonies, maple trees, oak trees, all those. They're going to come back year after year. Or plants that you plant with a bulb. So it's kind of looks like a little onion thing you bury in the ground, and they'll come back year after year after year. So go ahead and highlight your big words here. Perennials, P-E-R-E-N-N-I-A-L-S. Biennials, B-I-E-N-N-I-A-L-S. And then your annuals, A-N-N-U-A-L-S. And make sure you put a little space at the bottom so you can do your summary for your Cornell notes. And that concludes plant responses and growth. Thanks.